Hey everybody, welcome to episode 18, and as you can see we're now working on the 5R41 radio. And just to recap where we were, if you remember, I basically did a rip out on this thing because I found bad tube sockets. Now I was able to find some of these new old stock wafer sockets, the phenolic sockets, and went to go put them in today, and just had to make a kind of a change of direction. So first thing I notice is that these holes are really small to mount them, and also if you look at the bottom of the socket, if you put a rivet in there or a screw, very close to those pins. So I took out, I don't know if you've ever seen one of these, but it's a digital dial caliper. I have it set for fraction. And there's two sides of the caliper. This is for measuring an outside item, like this, and this is for measuring an inside. So I put them in the hole, like so. And I came up with 3/32, like that. So those holes are 3/32. So if I'm going to put a rivet in there, it has to be a 3/32 rivet, and I need a rivet press and a whole bunch of stuff that I'm not going to buy for this. It's not worth it. So I've made a command decision that I'm going to use a drop-in socket here. And there's a reason why that makes a lot of sense. I'm probably going to have to make these holes a little bit bigger. That's okay. But here's the real reason why I think it's a good decision. If you look at this socket right here, let me see if I can zoom in a little bit. See what they have here? I believe there's supposed to be tube shields on these things. Now that would make a lot of sense, right? To get it to keep interference out. And the same thing is also true right here. Tube socket. It's got, that's it. These two also had that. So what I'll do is I'll put the drop-in types with the can, which will basically keep unwanted noise out of there. That's what I'm going to do. I'll hold on to these because you never know when you may need them. But that's going to be the plan with this radio. I've also decided that I'm going to mount the capacitors up here. If you recall, underneath the radio here, you got plenty of room. This is where the battery used to go. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to cut out a circle. I'm going to mount a can on top. It's going to have two 50s in it, 50/50 at 400 volts, which is way high for this radio, but that's okay. That's what I have. So that's what we're going to use. And then there's also a 400 microfarad cap, which goes on the filament string. So that I'll mount underneath. That's a very small. It's only 25 volts. So I'll mount that underneath, but I'm going to keep the caps on the top here, right here. And that's how we're going to proceed. So I'll have pretty much a lot of room under here, now that I'm not going to be mounting the caps under here, so I can get rid of these terminal strips. And then the plan is still going to be put in my tube sockets. I'm probably going to replace these while I'm at it. While I'm here, I'm going to just do them. Get rid of it. Replace all the sockets. Wire up all the filaments. And then test. So that's the plan. So it'll take me a couple of days to get these sockets. I'll probably have them by Tuesday. So I'll start that process on Tuesday. But if you've never used a dial caliper, I would highly suggest it. It actually comes in handy. You know, if you're trying to measure something like a screw, or you know, if you want to measure this antenna, right? You just kind of go like this, and it gives you fractions. Like so. Okay? And of course it has a metric setting as well. So you could use metric. That's millimeters, 6.82 millimeters.
Say that again?
I didn't say anything, Alexa. So that's how...
Sorry, I'm not sure.
Alexa's talking to me here. So so that's the plan. If you don't have a dial caliper, I suggest you get one if you need it.
Sorry, I don't know that.
I know you don't know that, Alexa. That's why you're a machine and I'm not. Okay, so that's the plan, guys. So I'll stop the video right here, and when I get the sockets in, I'll come back and we'll start getting all this stuff wired in and prepared. So you know, and it's funny. I was thinking about, I just completed work getting the other radio up and running, and it was eerily reminiscent to me of this radio when I had everything wired up and connected but no audio. And now that I think about it, I bet you it was just the simple alignment that I could have just adjusted these screws and probably would have started getting some audio out of it. I didn't realize that if a radio wasn't aligned properly, there would be nothing. Didn't realize that. Never knew that. And that was the case with the S-20R. I had zero. I mean, the speaker was silent. That's the same thing I had on this radio, and I guarantee you that was the problem. Is that all I had to do was adjust these trimmers, but it's okay. These sockets were definitely bad anyway. There was definitely solder flowing into this one, so it may have been a combination of things. But either way, we're going to do it right. So that's it, folks. I'll be back. Remember this, folks? This is my AM transmitter, and I'm just doing one more test on the S-20R, and let me show you what that is. So I currently have this thing transmitting. Be right back. Okay, so all I really did here, let me lower the volume. All I really did here is install a fuse. It's an inline fuse. It's 3 amp, 250 volt. And you see I have it tucked right in here. And it's going to the hot side, obviously. Alright, goes to the black wire. You can't see that, but it's buried under here. And I just have this little plastic clip here that holds it in place. So I now have my fuse in, and we're looking good. The radio sounds real nice. Anyway, one thing I didn't realize, but I know now, is that when you have a field coil speaker, the speaker gets hot. Makes a lot of sense, right? It's a resistor, basically. It's like a 20-watt resistor or something. So anyway, that's enough for this one. Fuse is installed. Moving on to the next thing. Be back. Okay, while I'm waiting for some parts to work on the 5R41, just going to give you a sneak preview of what's going to come after those two radios are done. And I'll probably be working on this while I'm working on the cabinet for the S-20R. So this is a recording amp that I got from Bill in Connecticut, and he sent it to me, and it's pretty heavy, but it's really, really cool. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this into a guitar amp, an amp head, I think. But we'll see. It has this really, really cool retro recording level volume, which is really, really nice. I like that. And you've got your dial amp, on-off switch, tone, phono, and record, volume knob, and under here is one of those old microphone jacks, like so. So what I think I'm going to do is turn this into a pretty simple Fender amplifier. So it'll have a tone control, it'll have a volume. I'm going to probably add tube and diode rectification, because there is a difference, and you'll be able to switch that on and off. This will remain a dial light. That'll be the on-off switch, and this will be the input for the guitar. So that's going to be the plan. As far as the chassis goes, let's see if we can tilt this so you can see it. So looking at this, it's got a nice beefy transformer, which is great. There's a choke and an output transformer. And there's a couple of tubes in here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and you see it has the old 4-pin tubes. So we'll have to change those sockets out, but that's easy. And of course the chassis is very rusty, so I'm going to have to soak it in evaporust and all that stuff, but that's a piece of cake. And looking on the bottom, it's really not much here. Right? It's got a lot of these old Aerovox caps, which are completely bad. Right? That's a known thing. But there's plenty of room under here, so I could do a lot of stuff with this thing. So I'm going to spend most of my time designing first before I start doing anything. But I'll rip it out and get it ready, and at least start working on the chassis and getting all the rust off of there. And I do plan on putting it back together this way. And there's a close-up look of that meter. I'm thinking I can mount it into a wooden cabinet, but I have to think about that. Anyway, that's a preview of what we're going to do with this one. So this one's coming up. I'll send you some updates on this one as I can, but I'm still going to focus on those other radios. Okay, everybody, take care.